Well, she's just a Celtic cliffy. She'll no take nae advice. It's a drop the double bile you eat that I'll punch you.
Alright guys, welcome to another episode of the Maroon Machine podcast. It's myself, Kieran again. How you doing, Kieran?
Good mate, better than I was last week.
Did I see you last week?
I was here Monday.
Sorry, on Monday.
Friday I never seen you.
And we've got Scott Linton. How you doing?
Very well, thanks yourself.
Good. I'm not bad. We're here to talk about football, obviously. And the biggest story is obviously, I was going to say World Cup final, Euros final. Take both watched it. What do you make it?
I was through in Glasgow actually, at a fan park watching it. So full of Scottish people, as you can imagine. So I actually felt like a Scottish game.
Aye.
So obviously with England getting the early goal, you think it's going to be a walk in the park for them, but it was weird. It was like they scored the goal and then they just were happy to sit in and go for the 1-0 victory. And then Italy just grew into the game, and I think from probably about half an hour on it was just dominance from Italy. And in the second half it was like you could feel the goal was coming. But England did look quite solid defensively, so you're like, how is this going to go? But obviously Italy got the goal they deserved, and then extra time it kind of went back to, it could have went either way. And then obviously penalties is just a lottery, but like regardless of allegiances and all that, I think it was harsh for Saka to go up and hit the fifth one. It was a strange one for me. Like,
What senior boys here not be taking penalties, eh?
well, obviously like Grealish has come out today and said he asked for one and stuff, so it's obviously Southgate that's picked. So he's you hear that he's been so analytical about penalty takers and who's done well in training and all that, but I think he's got to take that out of it and go on.
Training's not the final.
No, exactly. He's got to go on maturity, experience, who's kind of been in similar situations to this in their club career, or who's done it at international career before, and go for that and just be like, no, I know you've done it in training, but I'm going to go for Raheem Sterling because he's played in the European Cup finals, he's played international tournaments for England or whatever, and just make that decision and go for it, because it's obviously backfired.
You could see it in his face as well when he stood up. Like he was. I mean, they're all going to be a bag of nerves, really. But
yeah,
like you could see that he was shitting it when he was stepping up to the ball. It was daft. He's only got their shit like blame, I suppose. Felt sorry for the players.
Definitely.
Fucking hate the pundits. You'll be lucky you didn't listen to the commentary, I take it.
Nah, I never heard the word.
Italy weren't in it if you were
Really?
had your eyes closed. It was all England Day.
It's to be expected. It's been England's tournament the whole way though, hasn't it? But I mean, I'm sure they'll go deep in another tournament, but you think it's the best chance they've ever had. 6 out of 7 games at home, Wembley crowd, and the draw as well was very kind to them. So you can't imagine it being as straightforward as that in future tournaments. But fair play to Italy, like going to Wembley, full crowd of English fans, and getting the job done. So.
Almost more than a full crowd of English fans if they'd had their choice as well. But no, I think you're right, and I think it's like it's a decent England team, like a really good England team, but they're not the best in the world. So it was like there was teams like Italy are definitely better than them. They're lucky and it came up against like say Spain, France. Denmark nearly done the business on them, and that's not taking away from Denmark. They're a decent team, and you're right. It's World Cup next, and are you quite involved with that actually, just coming into your business a wee bit, like not with the World Cup, but obviously it's a destination.
I'm looking forward to it next year, because I'm going to want to do packages and stuff like that for people wanting to go over for it. Obviously it'd be brilliant if Scotland can qualify, and then I think that'll be good for business. But yeah, I had a few packages for people at the final.
Did you?
Which was good. So yeah, I think with it being in Qatar, I think Dubai will be a really good hub for people to go, stay there and then go to the games in Qatar and whatnot. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that next year actually.
You're starting to be at Dubai knowledge, you were there for a bit, like that looked tremendous following like your social media and that.
Yeah, so actually the timing couldn't have worked out any better, to be honest, because back here there was just still in lockdown, there was nothing going on, and I went out for 5 months, and I've said the sun and built up really good contacts and got good relationships out there with people and just understand the dynamic of the place. And then came back here when things are starting to open up again, so it's worked out perfect.
It was when it was you, obviously, you were in a brilliant place when you were here. Like, I mean, for performance wise, you obviously had a couple of niggles. I think when I spoke to you before, you said it was a bit tricky when it was sort of you were coming to the end of your career, but it's still that 16 and 16. I think will be stuck in a lot of folks. You had 16 goals, 16 assists in your last season, but you made that branch away because you had to focus on the business, and then the worst thing happened in COVID. It's affected a lot of folk, but that must have been brutal when it sort of came at the time it did for you and the business.
Yeah, it was. I mean, everyone's has been in different situations throughout the last 18 months, but I think especially with what I do, it's been the most severe affected industry really. So that's been really difficult, but I've tried to be positive about it all in terms of, right, okay, well, I'll probably not be where I want to be with the business, but use the time to develop relationships, network, understand the business, learn, get the brand out there, you know, all the things that I can control right now. That was what I've put my focus and energy into doing. So I've not tried to be too down about it, because there's nothing I can do and there's nothing that people can do about how COVID is. It's just, right, what can I do just now? And as I say, that was a big part of why I went to Dubai, was because it was, right, okay, well, nothing's happening in the UK. I could sit here and get annoyed and frustrated about the weather, about not being able to do anything, or, right, I've just finished playing football, I've got this free time now, push yourself out there and give it a go, so that I'm in the best position possible for when normality does resume. And I think I've come back and I'm in a much better place for it now, so I'm really looking forward to seeing what happens.
I suppose that's a good way of looking at it as well, because you've been able to gain a wee bit of experience through all this. When you look at the football, do you miss it? You miss playing every week, maybe not miss the training, but...
Friday was the first time that I don't know if miss it's the right word. I enjoyed it a lot watching it. Like, I still love football, don't get me wrong. It wasn't like I gave up and I was like, oh, I've lost interest in football completely. But I think when COVID came and there was no crowds, and then you're hearing from people about they're not being able to shower, they're not being able to socialise and stuff like that, I was like, I've got out at the best time. But then seeing the crowd back on Friday and seeing that, it kind of makes you fall in love with it a wee bit again. But because I know and I'm true to myself that I'm so far off now fitness wise and all that I would need to be, I'm just like, I've just kind of closed that chapter, but I enjoy the spectacle side of it.
It's a new sort of enjoyment of football for you now, and you're going to be dead busy obviously, because folk are going to start on holidays and things like that. Are you going anywhere? I've barely looked, because I'm like, the demand's just going to be ridiculous.
I've not booked nothing yet. Next year, probably. Definitely be back with the kids to Florida, 2023 probably, ideally. I think by then everything should be kind of under the carpet. So I've no, as much as Florida's been kind of wide open for the start, I'm just kind of heading back, because I have seen like people with masks and that in Disneyland. I'm taking offence to that. So I'm just going to wait it out. Next year, if there's anything maybe pops up, maybe end of summer, probably get away, but we'll probably just staycation it for a wee bit, I think.
That city, like, we're all like proper hating it when we hate to put the mask on in these Scottish summers. Like, fuck putting on in Florida. Like,
I know, Christ. The Scots going to sort these out for the World Cup, so that's alright. If we do a business here at New Central Park in the Scottish Cup and get that one in the bag, there'll be some Europa League. Is that what you get in the Scottish Cup? Europa League packages. If there's Friday, it'll be far off it.
It was class. The draw came out obviously for that as well, for Kelty, and it's pretty much a couple of B teams that we've got for the Scottish Cup. I think in the first round and second, I'm not even going to pretend to remember who we've got, but it's a couple of B teams that we're going to play in the first couple of rounds, so not exactly exciting ties, but it's a pathway into the third day, so and I think it's the third and fourth where you start to see Celtic and Rangers, so it's some of the bigger teams.
So the top four I think coming out then,
Aye. I think in the third round that's when all the way up to, no, I think it's top, is it not top 6 in this? But aye, that'll be pretty exciting. Obviously, you mentioned it there Friday. You want to give us a sort of brief run through?
Aye, very brief.
Because you were there hard.
I was there. I was half cut though. Aye, well, I think the first 10 minutes we were a wee bit like, oh shit. They started really well, and I was like, oh my god. And then for whatever reason, I didn't care if you noticed it as well. Charlie McGrew had a wee bit of fucking. I don't care if it was blown or something else, but there was a period from about the 10th minute to about the 25th, I think, but it was all over the place. Flash was beating him for headers, he was coming short, Flash was peeling off him, and it just looked like a kind of duck out of water at times, eh? And I was like, fucking hell, I was like, we could be onto something here if we can get the ball in behind. Unfortunately, it never happened, after 90 minutes, but I said to you last week or the week before that I'm not really sure about how we're going to do stepping up. But if we're going to play like that, we'll be sound.
Aye.
Me and Maroon sound. But the game itself, it kind of just, it wasn't your typical big team versus wee team scenario. We dominated a lot of the ball for long periods at the time. And Tidser got named in the team of the week actually, just about an hour or two ago. And if that was somebody who knew nothing about football, watching the two teams, you'd probably think they were on par, to be honest. That was, like I say, it's a Scottish internationals, the difference at the end. But what about yourself? I was actually blown away with how we played.
They were big, that's the thing I noticed. Every player just seemed to be like twice the size as some of our players, and we've got some big guys in our team. I think the pitch really caused a few problems for Dundee United. They're not used to playing on that sort of pitch, but to be fair, we played them last year and played it at Tannadice, and it was similar story there. We played a bit differently. We sat back last year, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Maybe it's because I didn't hate the commentary. I didn't have to try and make sure I came who
I was the names in the back of the top, so you would have been.
That's handy by you.
Imagine doing that after we kind of did anyway, bastards.
No. What do you make it?
I was really impressed with Kelty. I said to a couple of my mates that asked me about the game, I said, you would have thought that Kelty were the Premier League team.
Yeah.
That was genuinely my opinion from it. I thought they took the game to Dundee United, they passed it really well, they had a threat going forward on the counter. They were just, I thought Thomas and Tidser in the middle were brilliant. I was really, really impressed. Impressed.
You've got to remember that was without Forster and Hooper was suspended as well, so it was right a couple of big names in there as well. The fact that you can sub Austin off as well and still be causing problems was...
That was the thing that I noticed as well when I was playing. If Fash came off, you'd noticed a big threat gone off, and that's no disrespect to anyone that would come on, but Fash was the kind of the main striker and still is, but it's something that now seems like there's a bit of balance there, and there's different options to come off the bench and still create a threat up top, which is great to see. Yeah,
no, it is. It's I think the support they've got sort of directly behind them now, but Jonas, Cardle and Higginbotham. A few years ago, you wouldn't think you'd see those names. I was playing at New Central Park, and again, I think he just played phenomenal. And then the biggest one, or one of the biggest standards of the game, he always got man of the match, was McNabb. Played at centre back against Montrose as well, I'm sure. Because I think Hill maybe picked up a nickel before that game, and he looked good in that game. But then when you saw his name come up on the team sheet for playing centre back against Dundee United, you thought, this could be a wee bit, but he was solid.
Solid. That's it's got good experience next to him talking him through the game as well, which helps, but like I say, he's quite a big lad himself as well, so we've seen him handle himself a couple of times. So I'm more than happy to stick him in there, and he is quite aggressive as well, even when he's playing like right mid or sort of in the hole. So
he's really good on the ball as well.
He's got a good touch on him, Robbie. Like I say, there's a couple of times when the ball come back to him, you thought to think, well, he panicked, which kind of laid it on. He moves into position again, which is what you want, because a lot of times you would have forgave him for sort of knocking it wide, and then maybe try to get yourself forward 10 yards. That's what you're used to. Then he was dropping back, making angles, which was making Dougie's. Dougie was next to him. Right? It was Dougie's job easier, and then you follow the line. You know yourself at a full back, so you just follow the line along. And to be fair, like I say, plenty of experience talking him through the game. So he done the simple bits right.
Yeah. No, it was tremendous performance, and East Fife obviously on Saturday coming. We'll talk about that in a wee bit though. The East Fife game and the other results in the group. What about see when you look at a team and you compare it to the way when you were at Celtic Hearts, the way that they played, the type of football? Do you see a lot of similarities, or do you think that the style of football's changed now that Kevin Thompson's came in?
No, I think it was pretty similar. I mean, when we played, it was the same intensity, same pressing, looking to be as positive going forward as you can be. I just think the quality of player that is there now is better than what it was when we were there. And again, no disrespect to the team we had a really good team, but I think there's more players that have dropped down now from the professional league in the team with more experience than what we probably had. And but I think in terms of the way that we played, pretty similar, to be honest.
Yeah, they obviously I already mentioned it. I say the assists, but the goals that you got. But you see, when you went into that season with the 16 and 16, was that in your game plan? Was that something you sort of thought that you were sort of aiming to do, or did it just kind of fall into place like that?
I did set myself goals because I've done that every season that I've played to try and just keep me on track for something, regardless of what position I was playing, because I always knew I would be there or thereabouts with set pieces and stuff. So I did always set myself goals. I've never set myself the targets that I've managed to hit here, but I did have an idea in my head about the goals that I wanted. Although when I signed, I was brought in as I think I started the first few games as like right of the front three or left of the front three, so I was higher up in midfield, and it wasn't until maybe a few games into pre-season where I got moved back to left back and then managed to secure the place there, and then that was me for the season. So I think obviously the free kicks and the penalties helped me. I don't know actually, I can't remember how many I got from open play. So yeah, I mean I was lucky, but in saying that, I did practice free kicks a lot, and I did practice penalties. So as much as it was a great season and the dead balls that I scored, I did practice them. You know, Dylan and I would come out before training and we would just hit free kick after free kick and stuff before and after training. So the assists, again, it was just a season where things were just kind of going right for me, to be honest. I probably could never have replicated that season again, no matter how hard I tried.
I had a good connection with Fash as well. I think whenever we talk to Fash about that, you know, all the goals he scored that season, he always attributes a big factor. He'll say I had plenty of support and Scott Linton for assists. He always talks about that. So that partnership must have been huge enough. Yeah,
no, we just clicked as well. Like, I think I understood Fash's strengths and his weaknesses, and he's also brilliant in the air as well. So, you know, when you receive the ball, you can see Fash making a move to the back post or peel off the defender, or if he's making the front post run, you can just see it just before you make that delivery. So I would just clock him, and then I would know roughly where to try, whether it's a front post one low or a high one at the back post, whatever it was, I would just try and aim for him, and he was phenomenal as well. So
I suppose you get that timing, because Fash is one that plays the line, always like teetering and arguing with the line.
He's never been offside yet.
Nah, he's when I spoke to him, he said that as well. It's like, oh, I'm offside every time. I just like arguing. I just like arguing with the line, or making sure that if he's unsure that he sides with me the next time.
Strikers for you though.
That's why he's still to make himself better.
What see when you look back? Obviously, it was the Holland League. It still relatively new and a bit unknown. Did you know much about the Holland League before you went into it, or was it like? No. You hate to Google what the Holland League was when you...
No, it wasn't that. It was actually a big reason why I wanted to come down and play it, was because for the majority of my career I'd played this League 2, League 1, Championship, just up and down. So I'd played all of the grounds in all of the leagues, and it was just year after year it was the same ground, same players, same... I wasn't bothered about that. Generally, it was just about a fresh start and going to these places. It was like, I've never been here before, so let's see what it's like. And I wanted to just try something new. and it was just a change. I just needed a wee change. So yeah, that was the reason behind it. There was nothing like, oh, I need to go to these places like Dalbeattie and yeah.
Are you going to go to go off on a tangent? You bet that game, can you count me?
I'll try and get to as many games at the weekends as I can do, to be honest with you. As I said to you earlier on, I still love football, I still love seeing all the boys. So I'll try and get myself along to as many games as I can.
Oh, because it's obviously good when we see you guys come back, obviously, and support the team along. It's brilliant to see for us as well. So you see, you wanted that new experience, what have you? What was the sort of standouts for you, like maybe the grounds that you went to or the teams that you played against?
I actually didn't go to Dalbeattie away. I didn't play in that, I was ill.
Did we not play them like 3 times away? Because of the cup or something like that? You don't get any of them, or was that a different season?
I think that was a different season. I actually only went down once and I never played, I was ill. Civil away, although it was local for me, which was handy, but the pitch was, oh my god,
the changing room's no local tape and Civil strollers like ground.
Nah, no, the pitch was, I've not played in a pitch that bad since I was younger, and it literally, you could be a great team. You can go out there on training on Thursday and you could work on your game plan and how you plan on beating them, but then the pitch just throws it all up in the air and it's just reactive because you've got no idea how the ball's going to go, where it's going to break or anything like that at all. So that was a real challenge.
It's literally just a field behind. It's a field behind the 5-a-side that somebody's took the flying with and put some goals up.
So the game scored 3 penalties.
Yeah, one of them. We played there a couple of times. Yeah, I scored 3 pens in the game.
That game was I think it was 3-2, wasn't it?
3-2.
Well, it was 75 minutes, and then it was like they scored 2 near the end, wasn't it?
3-0 up, but again, it was the pitch. Like,
I
think if we'd played them out there and we went 3-0 up, that just wouldn't have happened. But they went long, played off second balls, and we couldn't get into we were a passing team. And see, when that gets taken away from you don't really know what to do because we were so against going long and just playing channels. But yeah, everyone just gets thrown up in the air, and it plays to their strengths as well. They're used to the park. They're a direct team. They're hard to break down. So like that, as bad as we played, I think in games like that you just need to get the win and get out of there. That's all.
It's an experience, after playing, like you say, with other place. Like to go somewhere like it's a bit interesting.
It's good. I enjoyed it, and when you're playing in a good team and you've got good players around you, and that never fazed me or bothered me. Going to these places.
Were you at the Cali Braves game when they opened their stadium and the bagpipers and that? Were you playing that? I get one a season.
I did play that one.
I think you had to sit out at half time because they put the heating on. They put the heating on full blast in the room, and then I think Barry was in the Daily Record as like being cocky because he kept the boys out like it was a school game and that, but it wasn't. It was because the changing rooms were. Oh. But I remember got to that and then just seeing bagpipes and being like, what the fuck is going on here?
That was a game that Dylan got injured, wasn't it?
Aye, that's right, he was out for a wee while after that.
That was a shame.
Were you shocked that Dylan went to Airdrie?
I was. I didn't see it coming. He's obviously he's good enough to play full time. I think everyone that played one would tell you that, and I think when any opportunity came up, I don't know what his work situation was. I don't know if he was working or if he hasn't been. So I think if he wasn't, then it was probably even more of a opportunity for him to just get back in at full time. But it's a good club. Obviously, I played under Ian Murray at the bar, and I played with Prunty, who's there, and Scott Agnew as well. So it's a good management team there, and I think Ian Murray's done quite well with them. They seem to be recruiting good players, so I'm sure he'll do well there.
I'm sure he took a knock, if I remember reading right on Saturday, so I hope he's alright. I think he went off in the market. But that's for what I heard, when they kind of take that as gospel, it was kind of felt like it was his chance, and it never came for him, his chance to sort of go full time, and if he couldn't get full time, we would have been here again. But it was a shame to see him go away, but same time, like I was at first dead worried, you still see some big names coming in, but after that Dundee United game, would be better side for hearing him in, obviously, but I think we're going to be alright, and it's a good opportunity for him, Gets to play against Barry as well.
That's well going on that. Like we've got obviously the two new guys coming, Biabi and Angiman.
Aye.
I thought they were pretty brilliant when they come on, to be fair. Like,
I didn't know much about them, but Kane Ayman was like quite a physical player. But I think that's just if you're at BSC, that's what they sign anyway. So or Broomhill FC or whatever they're called now. They like their physical players. Biabi I didn't really care much about, but he's been really good. Like, proper impressed with him in the pre-season and in the obviously Dundee United game. Just kind of causes trouble. Still got to see either of them. I think. Sure, Biabi had a good chance where he pretty much ran it on the United defenders, didn't he? He went in and out, got a shot away. But it's still like to see them get a few chances and what have you, like, because you still want to see that they can actually produce something, but fair starting point, it's been decent. Yeah, knows what's going on out there.
So
Karate training or something.
Probably. These bookmen folk for your way, Edinburgh, all lived in Kelly because they didn't want to pay the Edinburgh prices. They do weird things like fucking avocado in the park and that.
Is that a staple? Is that a staple like avocado? I went into Tesco's cafe and I was looking at the menu because I'm a vegan. I hate saying it because folk are. But I was looking at vegan options and that, and it was avocado on toast, and I was like,
that's nice actually.
You're right about it. But I read it, there's no something I've heard there before. Maybe I'll try it on your recommendation.
That is actually pretty good. Like, yeah, that's the first thing I tried when I moved into that new bit.
Kelty split in the middle, right? It's like the train tracks in like Alden US towns and that. On one side it's really rough and I live up the top end and it's a bit, no, it's a bit like Yorkshire doors and that, and then Kieran lives down the bottom where it's like they leave the doors open and that, and they just come in and get coffee and sugar off each other and bake pies for each other and things like that. Yeah.
So it's fucking brilliant.
What were you like before we move on to the Holland League? What's some of your like? What was your best memories? Because you followed Kelty along and that, you're in the juniors and everything. So
were we Scott in general, or just
Scott or the Holland League, aye?
With the Holland League, well, when it was sort of first brought up after that other Super League season, I kind of didn't know enough about, to be honest, the pyramid at all, and I was like, it sounds alright. And then you hear about obviously Spartans who had a couple of solid seasons, a couple of good Scottish Cup runs and that as well. So I was like, it's not going to be easy. And then sort of the first, whatever it was, 2-3 months of the season happened before Tam Courtsport punted it. I was like, my first hope was this is where everything goes tits up. And I was like, we'll just have to wait and see. And then obviously Barry comes in, ends up bringing in solid players from everywhere. And been lucky to get boys like yourself, Fash, Gary Chen, Tids eventually and that as well. You're like, fucking hell, it wasn't what I expected at all. And then you scored an absolute screamer on that far side. Can't remember what game it was, but I did if you can, Mark Thompson, Ian Thompson's son, he's on the committee in that. He actually came in his pants when I went in. It was disgusting. But honestly, he worships your left foot. I think he's actually got like a carbon copy in his fucking cupboard or something. He used to speak about it like it was his fucking wife. But the memories like now, to be fair, a lot of the junior ones, like I'd either be playing fucking whenever, and then I'd only get to like certain junior games if I was injured, which was most of the time. But I'd be steaming like the junior games coming. I was just like, if we're winning fucking all the time, I'm just get drunk. It's like, I'm not playing, I'm going to make the most of these weekends off. And then I sort of took me an interest when I started sort of bringing the carbon at the games more often because I was getting around a lot. And when obviously that season where we were fucking just ripping teams to bits and I think up until Christmas, there were some games that was coming away, but I can't believe I'm watching Kelty actually. Like honestly, I was seeing it to Mark.
What was the eye mouth and the tweed mouth, like the double digit wins and that?
No, like the East of Scotland, You mean
the juniors?
No, I mean in is after Barry took over.
Oh, right.
These boys like Linton started to come in, we were playing such a higher level of football than what had been here before. Like we obviously had good teams, and we had boys at that time who were playing above their level right up until Barry took over. But when Barry took over and managed to get his own players in, it just went through the fucking roof, eh? And there is folk who say, it's not the same, the players are disjointed because they're no as local or whatever, and which is fair. But with progression comes that sacrifice, eh? And if Celtic are going to find their place in the SPFL, you're going to have to kind of deal with that, eh? That the players are going to come from Glasgow, Edinburgh, Stirling, wherever. But for you to compete, you have to be the best, and if the best available, then you have to get them. And that's it. And like I say, there is folk who are going to say it's not what it was 2015, we're in the Super League. You're right, it isn't. It's better. Sorry, but it is.
It's that what you said there though, that Celtic, obviously it was all local folk that were in it, so it was always quite close knit, which I think they've sort of kept just now. Do you find that when you came to Celtic, they feel more close knit than other teams, or is that something you still see quite a lot around?
We had I was actually quite nervous when I came in because I knew from the outside the year before when it was all the local boys and it was the guys that had been here like Ross Philp and Cargie, Hubby, that type, they'd been here for years, and then we were the first few to come in and kind of break that up a wee bit. So I was worried about coming in, what that would do to the changing room, or how we would be looked on.
Got a new school.
Kind of, and how we would have been looked on then. But to be fair, everyone was great, and the team spirit we had was amazing, right from the off, and everyone just kind of gelled. But then obviously a few of the boys that had been here started to kind of go out alone, like Archie Campbell and boys like that, and then it was like they got phased out, which was a shame. It was a real shame. I mean, obviously Cargie's a legend here and boys like that, but as you said, to go to that next level, sometimes you need to make these decisions, and as good as the team spirit was, we were here for results. At the end of the day, we were here to try and get Celtic to the promoted. That was what we were here for.
I'll never forget that, because it was just before, obviously Barry, I think Barry had just taken over, but he's playing in that like five-a-side thing, indoor football tournament. When we played Peterhead, and that first time we played Peterhead, and it just didn't seemed a bit surreal. Even making the switch for the juniors, when we were still playing against even lower official, it still seemed like it didn't quite seem real. It was similar to playing in the juniors, whereas when we got that Peterhead game when we went up there, and I think we finished 3-2, like it was, and that was our first stab at SPFL team. It was massive. It was
just different, isn't it? It just feels different, like playing. It's just that it goes everything from, when you turn up, like you've got everything's just professional and everything's just seems like it's a level up. And you guys will notice that this year, going to different grounds and having people in here, that you'll just realise like, right, okay, it feels like a professional outfit. Aye.
No, and there is that, but I think it's trying to find that balance, because I don't know, it'll be strange making that transition, because it's something that obviously a lot of folk in Celtic are used to. Like,
change is good.
Aye, no, I know, totally agree. I'm not against it. I'm not saying anything to convince me, but I think it'll definitely be an interesting one. I'm looking ahead obviously to that. I mean, we'll start the Premier Sports Cup. Arbroath, maybe Elgin on Saturday. Well, Junior. 1-0. Aye, away from home.
Who scored?
Aye, dickhead.
No, you never go that far.
Didn't get that far, didn't actually.
You never told us.
If
you told us, we would have told you.
But aye, so what would you make it? What impact you on that? I mean,
Arbroath are a good side. Getting again a part-time team playing Championship football, like, they're well managed, and he weeds out the week. You know what I mean? So, aye, it'll be a hard game.
You reckon after seeing us against Dundee United?
I think there'll be a few tails up going fucking, we better prepare, because that was probably ones that they're probably saying, right, when we will get 3 points if we get them at home, which I think we're away at Arbroath, aren't we?
Right, we've got the two home games first. We've got East Fife on Saturday coming, and then it's Elgin away on a Tuesday night.
So I even think probably East Fife and I both probably looked at that game, so if we can get a victory out of that puts us in a good position going forward. But after that, and I used to work with a few guys in Perth who were from Dundee and both Dundee United supporters. They text me after the game saying, how the fuck we got away with a win, I'll never know. And I was like, well, fair enough. There are a few Dundee United supporters up where I was in the North Enclosure, but I had turned them down pretty sharp, like 25 minutes in, half an hour in, they started getting them a wee bit. Because I think it was just because of midfield couldn't get in the game, to be honest.
Yeah.
But, there'll be a few teams who had that recorded and they'll watch it back and they'll be analysing it and going, right, we need to try and stump at the midfield, because out that game, that's for what I've seen, that's going to be our strong point.
Well, Dick Campbell was here on Friday.
Was it?
He was at both the playoff games as well, I think.
So you'll know fine well what to expect for both.
He's a local boy too, he'll pick up on the noise running about, you know.
Aye. No, absolutely. And then once, obviously, we've got East Fife on Saturday, Elgin on Tuesday after, and we finish up with a Broth on the 24th. And to be fair, you've got to imagine that those other three teams, aside from Dundee United, the Broth are the team that, other than ourselves, you'd expect to finish second. So it's kind of a good thing to play them at the end as well, because that potential, and no disrespect to East Fife, like, because I'm sitting talking like East Fife and Elgin, that's in the bag, and we'll get pumped on Saturday or something. But you've got to imagine that it could potentially come down to that game if we play the way we did against Dundee United.
Aye, definitely. And Haydon Gears will benefit as well.
East Fife,
aye. And Elgin's office up the road. It's what it is. There'll be a decent Celtic contingent up at Elgin anyway. The RAF boys that are up there.
Aye.
I've seen a lot of them put on like Facebook and stuff that they've already bought tickets for the game in a couple of weeks and the game in December. So.
That's good. What about week two? Obviously, you played a wee bit in the Molly C. Have you been following the other teams other than Kelty much in League Two? Have you got any sort of predictions for who's going to be up the top end?
I always think it's hard to call at the start of the season because there's always that team that's favourite, but more often than not they don't end up filling that hype. But it's a league. The thing with League Two and League One is anyone can beat anyone on any given day. So it's a really difficult one. But as I said, from what I saw on Friday here, there's no reason why Celtic can't be right up there this season for sure. Are Cove still in League 2 as well?
No, Cove are favourites.
Are they League 1?
Rookies favourites for League 1 at the moment, aye. I think for what I've seen, Steny have made a lot of noise.
Oh, aye.
They've signed a lot of players. They've obviously got the old BSC manager, Swifty. And when he was at BSC, like, he had some good players, but they weren't like the best in the league. And they were still, they were always still up there. So you've got to imagine there's got to be something there. Edinburgh City have been up and around the top of the league since they went up. Like, if it wasn't for Cove last season, they probably would have gone up as well. Elgin were up near the top. Stirling Albion as well as a few.
That'll be a competitive league.
Yeah, I think so. I think the top half will be competitive. I still think there'll be a few teams in the bottom. Even kind of Leaf look like you've got a bit better with some of the signings that they've made. But I still think it's got to be two halves similar to what it was last season. I think it'll be the teams at the bottom will be probably similar teams again. But after what we've seen on Friday, I think it's ours to lose. But it's like when you say the favourites, like, they don't always end up being that way once a few games get in. Cowden Reef first, I think, is huge though. Like, it's
good game at the start.
Aye, and we'll get hyped up for it. I think both sides will. Cowden Reef as well. Here at New Central Park, I have the class, and we'll hear a decent turnout. I remember seeing it and thinking, brilliant, we're playing them first, but it's shite because we're not going to get a full stadium. And then I remembered that this bloody SPFL nonsense where you play teams 4 times, so we'll get them a game later on or not.
You're going to hear half and half scarf from that.
What are you getting, home or away? Home away ticket?
To the first half at this side and then the second.
Quite at the other side. That'll be class though, and I think 2nd of January is away to Cowden Reef as well. So
that'll be a good day. That'll definitely not be on.
I kind of beat that.
Definitely.
I mean, when Rangers played them, and Rangers brought all that stuff in to heat the pitch, like thousands and thousands of pounds just to get the game because they didn't want to get postponed.
We had to do that when I was there. We had to every Friday after training we would have to go and put the pitch coverings on for the game on the Saturday and then take them off, and it was we were painting the stairs, we were sweeping the stands, honestly, you name it, we had to do everything at that club.
See, Dean and Ian and that be watching this thinking that they could have saved a couple of quid and got you to do it.
Get to shovel it.
Got the container out and then paint it now, to be fair.
But Danny Lennon obviously would give us jobs as young boys used to do back in the day, and me and John Robertson, who went to St Mirren with Danny Lennon, we were the groundsmen. So we would play on the Saturday, finish 90 minutes, you'd go in, speak to him, and then we'd be out onto the pitch with the pitchfork and all that. Crazy.
I've heard a few stories of open goal with Danny Lennon being a bit of a riot, like.
He's a funny guy.
It's a nice political answer there.
We had a few stories about Danny Lennon as well, just mental. He's just mental.
No, it's definitely something like that game. I mean, the one he's going to be something to look forward to, and we'll need to obviously Chen, who's meant to be here as well. You and Gary get on really well, so we'll get the both of you on in the future as well. And
both played with Kevin Reef, they were right.
Gary played a couple of games.
Played everywhere, hasn't he, Gary? So
I bet he played every fucking minute last night and all.
I know.
Vinced about with his fucking Bolty Peroni.
His Twitter was, well, I suppose everybody's Twitter last night after the football was interesting. Rio Ferdinand, he must have just gone home and deleted the Twitter.
I know.
Go back to it in a week, or when he starts to predict England are going to walk the World Cup.
He'll go stick his head in the sand for a couple of months, I think.
Got anything else to add?
No.
Anything for you, Scott? Nah. Well, obviously, cheers again for wasting 40 minutes of your life. You'll not get back listening to this podcast, and we'll get back next week or two, and we'll get yourself back on in the future as well.
Sounds good.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Well, she's just a kill, Cliffy. She'll no take no advice. It's a drop the double bile, you heed that I'll punch your ticket twice.